Hi, it's Dr. Lori. It's nice to see all of you. Thanks for joining me for Ask Dr. Lori Live. This is where I answer your questions live. That's right. So whatever questions you might have, you can ask them right here. Personal and professional. I don't care. Ask me. Basically, we do all kinds of things. Many of you want to know, is it valuable? So I'll be answering those questions as well. Remember, try to keep your questions that everybody would be interested in knowing about that particular information, those questions, for example. So, how should I sell a huge collection of listed artist Walworth Stilson's art from 1900? Do you all know what it means if you're a listed artist? You may not. A listed artist indicates that that particular artist has some kind of credibility within the art world and is not only an amateur artist. Not that they don't have credibility too, but a listed artist basically also relates to the many lists that are compiled by art historians that name artists so people can find where they lived and what kind of art they made. So the question is about paintings, lithographs, sketches. Basically, how do you list them so you can sell them? What am I going to tell you? I do a 4-part intensive selling class. You can sign up for it on my website. I would start there. You can take the selling classes in any order. There are 4 of them. You can take 4 before 1 and 1 after 2, whatever you want to do. But there's that. The other thing I will tell you about when you're trying to sell works from one particular artist and a lot of different media, etchings, paintings, drawings, all different things, you want to make sure that you will characterize the artist and you want to categorize, right? Put in categories each type of work of art that you actually have by that artist. Remember, you don't want to overwhelm potential buyers with all the same stuff. And you also don't want to get into the situation where you're selling everything like a fire sale because you have so much art by one artist. So more tips like that. My selling classes. All right. When did the barrel-shaped screw back clasp first appear and is it still being used? The barrel-shaped screw back, the one that sort of is like a cylinder and you just screw it in, late 1900s, so late 20th century is when that is introduced. I know you guys try to identify the date of a necklace or the date of a bracelet only by the clasps. Remember, that's not a good idea. Clasps can be older and added to a new piece. That's very, very common. A lot of tricky people do that. And also remember, sometimes with repair, someone who's just repairing jewelry will use any clasp they've got. It may not be from the same time period, so be careful. Recently got 2 pieces of jewelry that are marked made in the USA. Do you have information about them? Well, just because they say they're made in the USA, typically that does mean they're made in the USA, but a lot of foreign manufacturers who are trying to mass produce pieces will put USA on pieces of jewelry in an attempt to make you think that they're made in the United States. So again, you want to make sure that you look at other characteristics of the pieces. For example, testing equipment. You know, we offer a lot of testing equipment. So you want to make sure about that. Marks are usually accurate. However, there are the stray marks that may be deceitful. So be careful. But good questions. Very good questions. These are the type of questions that help everybody. You know, is it valuable? I have a 30-inch strand of pearls that are hand-tied but no clasp. Does that affect value? Yes, it affects value. So you want to make sure that you have pieces that have the clasp. Now, again, if they're hand-tied and they're continuous, right? So it's continuous. It doesn't need a clasp. You just put it over your neck and it will stay on your neck. Well, that's a different type. If it just doesn't have a clasp because the clasp was lost or broken, that impacts value negatively. Should I clean old silver-plated flatware before I sell it or list it as is? It depends on the piece. So many people like it to be crystal, so clean and so sparkly and beautiful. Many people also like the look of the antique nature, where it looks somewhat worn and old, right? The other thing about cleaning silver plate, don't be overzealous because underneath that silver plate is copper. And if you start to actually polish too much, you can abrade or scratch off the first level of the silver plating, and you could end up with a piece that looks a little bit like silver and a whole lot like copper. So be careful. These, of course, Ask Dr. Lori Lives are to help all of you. There's a lot of information here. One of the ways you glean information, of course, is from these videos. And one of the ways that many of you are missing information is because you're not reading the website. You're just clicking on whatever, and you're not really reading. So please, when you see the information from us or from my staff, read it, because we're trying to get you the information to help you. But yes, I know you get a lot of information from videos, and these videos, you should share them and you should rewatch them, because I give a load of information when I answer these questions too. Park Lane jewelry is considered collectible. And then I would say, is it desirable? All costume jewelry is desirable. People love it. People love costume jewelry. They collect it widely. They trade it widely, selling and buying. So yes, costume jewelry, very, very desirable. Is Park Lane specifically collectible? Oh yeah. Good questions. These I'm sure will help everybody. Is a whole grain Wheaties card with Emmitt Smith with the Dallas Cowboys in a plastic case worth much? It has a gold shiny rim. Okay, I need to see a picture of it. Remember, any type of collectible cards would need to be, of course, identified correctly, right? Because you know, in the age, of course, of digital reproductions, anybody can make these cards over and over again. They can be reproduced. So you want to be careful of that. I suggest that you send a picture to my website, both sides, back and front, and you could all do that. I will review it for free. I look at them and basically get back to you with instructions. drloriv.com. It's right there. It says sends photos, get a report. Click on that little camera icon, submit the pictures, submit the form, and tell me what you want me to know, and I will look at it and I will tell you, it's worth an appraisal. It's not. So that's one of the best things that a lot of people appreciate about me. I'm telling you the information so you're not going on wild goose chases, so you're not asking a million people who may not know anything about your Emmitt Smith Wheaties card. You know, I'm going to tell you, here's what you should do, or don't waste your time. So that's what you've got. How old is the C-clasp and pin extended past the piece? I've answered this many, many times in many of my videos. You may want to use the search feature on the YouTube channel to about jewelry, because the C-clasp is something that I've talked about often. It's an early 20th century invention, and it's used predominantly in that time period. But there's a lot more information than that you need to know about C-clasps, and specifically about, of course, jewelry in general. There's information here, and there's a big search bar that you could just search. You can just put in jewelry right here on the YouTube channel. You can also search my website. There's all kinds of information there too, particularly about jewelry, but about a lot of things. Thank you very much, Janice. There's a lot of information. I mean, and in order for us to do this, for me to get all this information out, when I say us, I mean my staff, you know, they do a tremendous amount of work. So when people are rude to them, I get angry. That's right. Dr. Lori gets angry. I don't want you to be rude to the staff. The staff is doing a lot of work to try to help all of you. Many of you are not reading, are just saying, oh, you didn't want to help. Someone had some remark recently, and I was like, well, why would I want to help this person? That was all these rude remarks. So, you know, but I also understand it also is, and you are entitled to your opinion, even if I don't like it. That's fine. But I really want to make sure that you realize that the staff is doing a lot of work on your behalf behind the scenes too. So try to listen to those emails, read those emails that we send you so we can help you in the right way. Yes, you're very welcome, Pastor, and I'm happy to do it. And thank you for the super chat. And super chats and super stickers are, of course, if you would like to support us in any way, this is how we keep, you know, all these videos coming and all this work going. So that's how we do it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the support in any way. So yes, I agree, Pam. Life is too short for anger. But yes, I'm a human being. And yes, I get annoyed when people are not treating the people who are working so hard for you when they don't treat them well. So, right. Life is too short for anger. And then I hope that that's, again, spread to everybody else too. So I want you to be aware. We're trying to help you here and give you a lot of information. And of course, I'm doing that through the classes too. So how do I care for quilt blocks from 1938? Well, a couple of different things. Quilt blocks themselves can be very valuable as just works of art. There are a lot of people who will frame them as opposed to sewing them. Like, I'm not a seamstress, so I don't go sewing too many things. But quilt blocks themselves should be maintained the same way you would maintain a completed quilt, okay? You want to make sure that you keep them away from cardboard, keep them away from wood, don't store them in drawers, Make sure that they are in acid-free environment and away from attics or basements where temperature and humidity or dampness may be found. Good question. Found some cool blocks my mother marked as being done in 1938 by her mother. My question is, how do I care for them? I have some that are fading, not creased. Most are flat. They should lay flat. You should put something in between each one. So if you're going to put them in a Solander box, a piece of acid-free tissue paper goes at the bottom of the box. It should be an acid-free box called a Solander box. Remember, you don't want to put anything heavy on top of the box, and you don't want the box to be, you want the box to be somewhere where temperature and humidity does not change extensively. What does that mean? A main area of your house, guest room, closet, something like that. Sure, make a friendly suggestion. All the stuff I put on the table, is it possible if you do a quick date and how much to resell it for? Pretty please. The information of the objects on the table are oftentimes discussed. You may not have watched all of the videos. Sometimes they are utilized for, that's a good suggestion. But again, I like to talk about objects with respect to a particular topic, so we don't get too far off topic. A lot of you just look at it and go, oh, I have one of those and I want to know how much it's worth. Well, we need to talk about the whole scope of everything. I give a lot of information about values, particularly on all of my videos. A lot of you are seeing that in my videos from my events. You can see my event videos, which are popular, so you can see them there too. But a lot of you just want, okay, there's a Powerpuff Girls lunchbox and it's worth this. Oh, there's this and it's worth this. So I want you to understand how to identify quality as well as understanding the markets for it. As an appraiser, it's a good idea to make sure that I correctly identify your object before giving a value to it. You may not have the same object. You might think you have the same object, but you may not have the same object as what is on my table. Okay, let's see. You found a Rosenthal dish with a domed load with a lip on the dish. Is it a butter dish, though it's not round? Okay. So you found a Rosenthal dish. So Rosenthal is the manufacturer, for those of you who don't know. And then she found it with a domed lid. A dome says to me that it's a dome, so that would be round, with a lip on the dish. Is it a butter dish, though it's not round? What's not round? The dome has to be round, has to be spherical or half spherical, right? So now you're saying the dish is not round. So I don't understand what you're saying, Susan. It can be a couple of things. Domed pieces with an underplate could be cheese dishes, could be butter dishes. I'd have to take a look at it. Why don't you send me a picture? Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. It will help, of course, the staff, and it will help me to make more of these videos. The support we see, anything that you can do is great. The best thing that you can do, of course, in addition to the super chats and super stickers, is, of course, to watch the videos. Watching them will teach you an awful lot. I have helped make a lot of people a lot of money by watching my videos and learning what I know, sharing all of this knowledge. It's a great opportunity that we're providing. There's conversations here that we may not be able to continue to providing it free. So I hope that you will take advantage of watching these videos now while they are still, in fact, free. So a lot of conversation happening. It's very difficult. And of course, right here, the super chats and super stickers support us. Okay, well, thanks for these questions. I have a set of dishes with platters my mother-in-law gave me, who was from Germany. Okay, I have the set, and they are marked Rosenthal, Germany, in a Japanese quince design. Wondering of value. I need to know how many dishes you have. I need to know if you have a full service. I need to know what serving pieces you may have. I need to look at them for condition. I need to look at the mark to be able to identify the date of the mark. I need to look at the mark to be able to identify whether or not it is an authentic mark and not just some kind of reproduction mark. When you say it's a Japanese design, there are many different Japanese designs that would be described as yours. I need to see a picture. So a picture and a list. And when you list it, don't just say I have a dinner plate and I have a salad plate. I need to know the dinner plate is 8.5 inches in diameter. The salad plate is 6 inches in diameter, and so on and so forth. If there's gilding, if there's a breakage, if you lost a cup in your service for 12 and you only have 11 cups, I need to know that. So I can't give you a value like that without knowing those other things. Do you see how this isn't just, ooh, look at this. It's a thermos from the Happy Days lunchbox. Oh, here's the value. There's lots of criteria. There's lots of traits that go into this. This isn't just magic. A lot of people want to say, oh, it's magic. You see a lot of these groups who are saying, Oh, well, I know what that is. It's this and it's worth that. With the market today, you really need to look at the entire market, and you need to know what the actual mission is of that person who is sitting there answering your question. They may know, they may not know, they may not want you to know. They may want to inflate the market value. They may want to make it nice and low so they can buy it from you for less. Thank you, Susan, for supporting the channel. I appreciate that very much. Tom's daughter, nice to see you, a long-time supporter of the channel. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. We appreciate it. Thank you, Amanda. We appreciate all of your support. And of course, we're taking your questions. Should I be looking at eBay for values? The treasures I own are all priced very low on eBay. So do you not think that eBay's correct? When you look at their values, you're not looking at the full market. When you only look in one place, if that's one online auction like eBay, you're not assessing the entire market to understand what these pieces are really worth. You're probably not also finding the best places to sell them. Hence my selling classes. Hence my blog about selling on the website. Hence the videos that I talk about here on selling. I mean, I give you a lot of opportunities to be able to have me teach you what you can find so you can succeed and so you can sell stuff for top dollar. But some of you choose to use it, some of you don't. Betty Boop, thank you very much for the super sticker. So no, I don't think that one place, WorthPoint or eBay or any of the places, not only those guys, but any of the places, if you only search in one place, you are not doing a full evaluation of the market and you're not finding what the values are. So when you say, I think it might be too low, you might be right. A lot of people are saying, oh, they don't get it for that. Nobody buys it for that much. Oh, these values are very inflated. They're all based on a sales record where someone has paid the bill. Any value to JPK jewelry? I don't see it often. There is value to all different types of costume jewelry that's marked all different ways. So you want to make sure that you identify and look for the marks and see who the makers are. The other thing about costume jewelry, a lot of people don't know, a lot of the makers will merge together or work together for a certain time. Names will change or become, conglomerations of both of their names. That happens an awful lot. So be aware of that. You may say, oh, that firm doesn't exist anymore, when actually they were working with another firm or bought into another firm. That happens with China manufacturers, specifically in Limoges, France. That happens a lot there too. So thank you for that. Hi, Corey. Are VHS tapes really worth the money that people are trying to sell them for on eBay? Well, actually, VHS tapes can be sold pretty high depending on which ones you have. eBay is not the only place that they are sold. They're sold in many different arenas. Declutter comes to mind as well, and other places. There's a lot of trade for those kinds of things. There's a lot of collectors who work within collectible groups, and they, in fact, will just trade amongst themselves. Remember, some of the highest valued and some of the biggest appraised values occur within specialty groups that have nothing to do with the open market like the online sites like eBay. So a lot of that stuff is going on behind the scenes and you may not be aware of it. So I like to make you aware of the complete market when I give an evaluation. So that's basically what we're looking at. So no, I would say that there's a lot of, some of them are selling really high, but some of them will just put a high number on some of those VHS tapes that are not all that valuable. Thank you very much for that super sticker. I appreciate your support. Anytime you can support us, we can continue to do what we do. So we're trying to help. We're certainly trying to help. A lot of you are telling me how much we've helped. I'm so happy when I hear the success stories, right? The way in which you guys are having success by following the channel and watching the videos and learning how to identify what are great treasures. Would the Beanie Baby movie bring up value for beanies? Again, beanies values have been coming up, and yes, the movie has an impact. Very similar to the way the Barbie movie had a great impact and is having a great impact on Barbie collectibles and extended collectibles that relate to Barbie, right? Her accessories, her dream houses, her clothing, all that stuff. For Beanie Babies, same things. You're seeing Beanie Buddies and you're seeing other Beanie Babies go very well because of any kind of marketability, like any kind of awareness in the press, like the Beanie movie, yep, which I think is on Apple TV. Where can I get a fair price for oil paintings? Lots of places. If you're trying to buy them or you're trying to sell them. If you're trying to sell them, best places to sell them. I talk about these in my selling class. You can sign up for it on my website. It's very simple to do. right under appearances and events on my website, you'll see that the classes are coming up. So go down to where it says appearances, and basically you'll click on that. You'll see the event schedule, dates and locations, and you will actually see all the times when I am doing the classes. The 4-part selling class, very popular, coming up soon. And the class with appraisals, where you can get appraisals of your objects while your classmates are getting appraisals too. You can learn a load of information from those classes, is also being offered. So, yeah, a lot of people used to say I was a walking encyclopedia. Now they say I'm better than AI. I would hope I'm better than artificial intelligence, since I like to think I'm real intelligence. But, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So we've got a lot going on in this world in 2023, a lot going on. Anyway, this is great. Thanks so much for your questions. Don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. Hi, Erica. I have a Walt Disney's The Little Mermaid. Yeah, that was a favorite from the late 1980s, early 90s. With the naughty image on the castle that was banned. It's in good condition? What's it worth? We'd have to see what you believe to be good condition, and what I would evaluate it as good condition might be two different things. I'll have to see a picture of it. But again, just going, oh, it's all of them are worth the same. They're not all worth the same, because they may not be the same thing. So, well, you know, yours has a particular image that people are saying, oh, they're banned and they're worth more. You've got to make sure that there's a market that supports that information. People give a lot of information that may not be accurate online. So just be careful. You just want to be careful. So, yeah, not too far from where I taught at the SUNY schools, the State University of New York, when I taught art history. Not too far from Binghamton, New York. Yeah, great to see all of you. Anissa, I have an antique called Some Examples of the Work of American Designers by Dylan Collins. The book is damaged. Should I sell the beautiful prints, and are they valuable? So you want to take the prints out of the book and sell them individually. People do that, but bibliophiles, or people who collect books, don't like it at all. So if you're trying to sell that book, you want to make sure that you know the value of the book first, right? Before you start basically damaging the book, because once you start to take it apart, it's going to be problematic. There are a lot of facts and information about what you look for when you're looking to evaluate a book, right? Because books are oftentimes appraised based on their cover, based on their author, based on their publication date, based on their publisher, based on their condition, as well as their illustrations. So your prints may be worth a lot individually, but your prints may be worth much more because it's part of that particular book. I am not a big believer in defacing books. I think leave the book alone. If you start to tear out, although many gallery dealers do that, there are art dealers who will take the books apart and frame them up individually for their individual prints, but not a good idea. Can you authenticate a Rolex? Do it via a video call. I can evaluate many different types of items during a video call. I have appraised many Rolexes in my career. Let's see. Thank you very much for your support. We do need it to help keep the staff doing the things that they're doing. They run as fast as I do. Everyone says, Dr. Laura, you do so much. Oh my gosh, you do so much. How do you do it? I do it because the staff is willing to work as hard as I am. How do you identify Cinnabar lacquer jewelry? There's a lot of different ways to identify Cinnabar lacquer jewelry, right? So Cinnabar, of course, that lovely red color, usually affiliated or associated with Asian style jewelry. You'll also see, of course, lacquer. Lacquer are different pieces. They could be boxes. They could be jewelry pieces. They could be pendants and such. Oftentimes also seen in jars, decorating jars. You see them not only in parts of Asia, but also parts of Europe and also even, Russia. We see a lot of that. So identifying Cinnabar, make sure that you're not looking at something that would be called paste, or it's trying to look like Cinnabar, but it's just colored and it actually is not real Cinnabar. So you have to be aware of that. And the best way to identify it is over and over again, look at as many pieces as you can of the real thing, and then you'll have an easier time to identify what's not the real thing. But I can help if you send a picture. You can do that, as I said, on the website. Thank you very Betty Boop. I appreciate your support. How I got started. And you say cheated an elderly senior woman. Yeah, I got started as an appraiser many years ago. I was I had a Ph.D. in art history in my early 30s. I was working in a museum. A woman came in and she told me a story of how she had sold an object to an appraiser who offered her $50. And I thought, well, maybe the thing wasn't really worth $50. I was not an appraiser at this point in time. I later found out, well, not too much later, but within the next week or so, I did some checking around for this woman, and I was a curator at a museum. I did some checking around for this woman and found that the appraiser who bought the piece for $50 had resold it for $50,000. And she was cheated out of a whole lot of money that she obviously needed. She said she really didn't realize what she had, and that woman had no recourse. She had no recourse. She was probably 75 years old when I met her. And it was a family heirloom that was passed down. I tell the story on the video. There's a video of me telling the entire story. So you can listen to it here on the YouTube channel, how I got my start as an appraiser. And I thought, you know what? Women are usually the victims of antique scams. And we usually end up outliving our husbands if we're married, and we end up with all their stuff. And I thought, we really need to do better by these people. They don't know how to identify pieces, and they don't know the values. They aren't good at negotiating, and they're in a situation where they basically are up against a wall, and it's a real problem. And I said, we can figure something out. We can do something better. What I did was I said, because I can identify these pieces based on my education, I'm going to start events. I'm going to have a host events, and I'm going to have people bring their objects so they can understand what to look for. That grew into Dr. Lori's Antique Appraisal Comedy Tour, and of course this YouTube channel, which educates people for that game. So I really thought it wasn't right what was happening. Most appraisers who happened to be men, not all of them are unscrupulous, but this particular person really was unscrupulous, and that woman really took a terrible, terrible toll for that. So that's how I got started, and I've been in the appraisal business for almost 25 years now. Yeah, one more question, Corey. What is there a reason that you only do thrift videos at Goodwill? I work at Salvation Army. I'd love to see you there. I don't only do thrift videos at Goodwill. I do thrift videos at many different places. You haven't watched enough of my videos, Corey. But I'd love to come to Salvation Army. And if any of you want to invite me to your favorite thrift store to come by and do a video, I will certainly do that. You've got to get in touch with us at drloriv.com, right? Go to the contact button at the top, right, of my website. It says Contact Dr. Lori. Go there and say, hey, I live here and I want her to come to this, thrift store. Tell your favorite thrift store to invite me. Hey, we'd like Dr. Lori to come to the thrift store. It's going to help them. It's going to help you. So sure, I'll be happy to do that. But yeah, I'm not only going to one particular place. Susan, thank you for your super sticker. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible. What is the difference between art pottery and studio pottery? This is a good question. Okay. Studio pottery is typically pottery that is made in a studio with more than one artisan. Art pottery is usually the pottery that's produced out of that studio. So people are like, oh, it's not two different things? Not really. Studio pottery usually indicates that there are artists, maybe there's one, maybe there's more than one artist who is making pottery in a particular studio. The pottery that comes out of it is called art pottery typically. So there you go. Manufactured pottery, right? Pottery that's made in mass numbers from a big factory, usually using molds. That is not called studio pottery, and that is not typically called art pottery. So usually just called pottery or ceramics. So good question, though. A lot of people get confused. The Kansas City Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes. I do. I love Patrick Mahomes. I'm not a Kansas City. I didn't grow up in Kansas City. I grew up New England Patriots. They were terrible for my whole upbringing. They were not any good. Then Tom Brady came from Michigan and, okay. But I think Patrick Mahomes seems to have a good heart. Now, I don't know the guy, but he seems to just have a good heart. And obviously he seems to love the game. And I like anybody who's a gamer. I like anybody who loves their sport and loves the game and wants to try, even if they fail. I don't care. If they're trying, I'm good with that. So. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs. But I love all of these because you guys could start doing I love the Patriots and I love the Eagles and I love the Texans and whomever, the Jaguars. It won't matter to me because there's going to be somebody cool on all those teams. somebody who just loves the games. So, and I love sports. I really love sports. Anita, thank you very much. I'm so glad you're learning about so many things. You bought 3 Waterford whiskey glasses for for $336. They sold for over $120. Do you think you got enough money at $120? Did you get an appraisal first? I think you did well, but I think you might have done better. Oh my gosh, Dr. Lori. I know. I'll tell you what, you got to know what the market is going to bear, and you got to know to sell it in the right place. But I think you did great. Congratulations. I'm not familiar with 685 on gold. I'm pretty new. Hi, Julie. Remember, different pieces of gold and silver, platinum from different areas or different countries may have different markings. So you will see different markings on different pieces if they originated in a country other than the United States. For example, British pieces might have the identifier 9K for 9 carat, where 10K is usually much more common in the United States. So you've got to learn those things. Where can you learn them? There's a lot on my website, on all those research pages. If you look at my website, you're going to see all those tabs. One of those tabs is research. You don't even have to look at the tabs. Go to the search, the little magnifying glass, and put in jewelry or put in marks, and everything's going to come up. Bing, 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 bing. It's very simple. Right above that red button that says Contact Dr. Lori. So I'm so glad you're learning so much. And when you're learning so much, I'm empowering you. Nobody else is empowering you. Nobody else is going to thrift stores and leaving everything for you. I'm going to thrift stores. I'm doing these videos. I'm showing you videos, and I'm walking out. I'm not buying everything and flipping it for my own gain. I'm leaving it for all of you so you can learn what to look for. And there were people in these thrift stores who I'm doing the whole thing. They're just walking by. And then there were the smart ones who were like, I'm buying that right now. Once she's done talking on that video, I want to buy it. So remember, I'm leaving these things for you so you can go and you can benefit. I'm trying to help you. They're trying to help themselves. They're really trying to compete with you. I don't want to compete with you. Thank you, Mary, for your support. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate you all being here. I'm going to watch these videos, and she's teaching me how to identify jewelry, look at the back of a painting, understand the age of something. I heard jade bracelets change color with age. Is this true? Fine jade rarely changes color significantly unless it's been in an environment that is not conducive to it. Okay, so yes, any types of gemstones, stones in general, can change over time, but it depends on the environment. If it's just a jade bracelet and it's sitting in the same place and being worn normally, it would take a very long time for it to age for it to show its age if it does at all. So be careful. Not everything's true. Not everything's true. Lots of different types of things we talk about. People go, what don't you appraise? I'm like, well, the list of what I don't appraise is very, very short. The list of what I do appraise is very, very long. Almost 25 years of appraising objects at a rate of about 20,000 objects a year, every year. Of course, all the public events that I've done for years and years and years, and that I continue to do, all the private events that I'm invited to in fact continue to do appraisals. I appraise a lot of stuff there too, as well as what's submitted on a daily basis to my website. So people go, oh my gosh, all the stuff you've seen, all these pieces you have to look at. But think of all the stuff I've seen and researched and appraised. It's a lot. Lucille Ball stamps. So a U.S. government stamp with Lucille Ball's face on it. Is that what you're talking about when you say a Lucille Ball stamp, Cynthia? Could you be more clear? This is why I like you to be specific with your questions. But stamps in general, if it's Elvis stamp from the U.S. government, or another celebrity stamp, or Thomas Edison, that kind of thing, stamps can be very collectible. People love to collect stamps. They're a great collectible category to start children. I always say coins and stamps, start kids on those, or start kids collecting toys, something they're interested in. That's always a good thing too. Sports collectibles also very good for kids, I think, to show a role model to kids, and also have them collect something that relates to a particular sport that they may like is, I think, always quite good. So there you go. There's lots to it. So get the eyeglass magnifier. Oh, you mean the loop. The loop is right here. This is the loop. It's a wonderful thing. And of course, it also lights, which is terrific because, when you start to realize what Once you have the loop, you'll realize what you've been missing, what you haven't seen all these years. It's really wonderful. It will show you so much detail. Not to mention, it will help you to identify if you have something that's really high quality or something that's not. I always say keep one in your pocketbook, keep one in your pocket, keep one in the car. I keep mine on a lanyard right around my neck all the time. So they're really very popular. Everybody loves the loop and the diamond tester and the gemstone tester and a lot of our products. They are things that I've used as a museum professional and appraiser for years, and I'm sharing them with you. How rare are minor cut diamonds? Mine cut diamonds, those that are cut at the mine, are relatively rare. They were more popular in the early 20th century, of course, than they are today. But now we have all different types of equipment, machines, and also other expert elements to cut diamonds. But mine cut diamonds, actually, I appraised a fantastic and very high value, like think big value for a mine cut diamond recently. So yes, they are rare, and most of them date to the late 19th, early 20th century that we see on the market today. The ones that are really, really extravagantly expensive, like ridiculously expensive, are usually traded within houses of monarchs, kings and queens, are trading those, that type of thing. They are International Collection Society stamps with your number and certificate of Lucille Ball. Oh, okay, so this is a way that Lucille Ball was licensing her image, I guess. They are not U.S. government stamps. So they're more collectible stamps than they are U.S. government or philatelic stamps. There's a big difference. So those pieces would have some value. I'd need to see how many you have. Are they still perforated, put together, right? The certificate of authenticity is only as good as the piece of paper it's written on. Those are usually just marketing documents from the seller. I have my Barbies that I played with as a kid. I'm wondering what and where to store them. Very good question. I don't have the original boxes. Okay, the original boxes are great to have for value, but they're not great for storage because they're acidic. They're made of cardboard. They were cared for and still loved, and you're in Ohio. Well, thank you for of course, joining me from Ohio. A couple of different things about where to store them. You can store them in wrapped acid-free tissue paper and then store them in, of course, polypropylene tubs. It's a good idea to do that. If they're loved, that's great. Remember, all of these objects like to be aired every once in a while, so don't just leave them there and pack them away. The reason why those plastic polyethylene tubs polypropylene tubs are very popular is because they don't attract bugs, they will repel water, and they are not acidic, and they won't do what cardboard will do. So if you love them and you want to keep them, you've got to wrap them in acid-free tissue paper and store them. Be careful that you are not storing too many on top of each other, because the weight of the ones on the top will, of course, damage the ones on the bottom. That's true of China, too. I hope this is all helpful, guys. Thank you for your super chats and super stickers. That will help me so I can continue to do this for you. Because to do this for free isn't free for me, and I'm happy to do it, but we do need your support. Is it uncommon to have people bring a chair to your live auditorium? No, it's not uncommon. Oh, gosh, the things they brought to me at my live stage shows, oh, my gosh, big items. I had the woman who brought the hand trolley with all of the banana boxes. She brought like 12 different types of china in the banana boxes. Then we had a sewing table from the 19th century that I remember that was quite large. Wasn't a little sewing table, all inlaid with abalone shells. I remember armoire. One armoire came in once. What else was big that's come? Yeah, so furniture can come. A chair is like no problem. But again, you're going to be responsible at my stage shows. You're going to carry the chair in. You're going to carry the chair out. Don't expect somebody from my staff or from the event staff who have hired me. Remember, I don't just show up at places and, crash the wedding. They have to invite me to come and, of course, book me in their schedule for their event. They're not going to have staff to be able to say, oh, we're going to carry your chairs around. So you have to get there. Oh, there was the woman who brought the 10-foot painting. She was in her late 70s. And she drove from, I think across 3 or 4 states in the Midwest to show me that painting. That painting was huge. It was huge. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, I've had big totems come. papooses from Native American, a lot of great pieces, and big too. Yeah. So don't be afraid to bring something big. You can. Can you discuss the value difference between teak, ebony, and other woods used in sculpture? Sure. Different woods, based on their quality, will have different values, right? But it's not true that teak will be worth less than ebony. If you have a lousy sculpture of ebony and a lousy sculpture in teak, they're both lousy sculptures. It's going to depend also on the quality of the sculpture itself, but it's not only mandated by the type of wood. Good question. That probably helped everybody. Great. Thank you for that. I bought a chair at a thrift store with a lyre carved. Is it valuable? Okay. Do you all know what a lyre is? A lyre is a curved form. And this curved form actually was a musical instrument in the Renaissance period. It was popular in the Renaissance and the Baroque periods. And lyre pieces are oftentimes underneath Duncan Fife tables. So a table like this round table I'm sitting at, underneath with a lyre, they can be valuable. They were very popular and reintroduced in the early 1900s, called classical revival or Renaissance revival pieces from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Yeah, it can be valuable. I have to see it. What am I going to tell you to do? Send me a picture or book a video call. Any suggestions for items to collect now to sell in the future? Yeah. What should you collect now to sell in the future? Barware is very hot and will continue to be hot. I have talked about these before, however. These are questions from some of the other. Do you know where the binge link is? Let me help you with the binge link, because then you can binge my videos and I don't have to keep saying, oh, you can look at it here, look at it there. A lot of different items will always hold their value, but the binge link is right at drloriv.com. Go to the specials and shop page, which is red at the top of the homepage. It says specials and shop. Click it and then scroll down. Scroll down and then read what it says. It says it's a link to the YouTube channel. What does that mean? You have to copy and paste that link. Save and use it means copy and paste the link. The HTTPS with all the little numbers after it, copy and paste it and put it into your web browser, your Google or whatever you use for a web browser, Yahoo or Bing. And then it will always take you back to my videos. But you have to save the link. So save it somewhere that you know where it is so you can use it over and over again. But that's what you're trying to do. The binge link is very important. It's going to help you. And it's going to get rid of all the other crap that might be fed into you. You know, when you're trying to look at something, then all of a sudden something pops up that you don't want to look at and you get distracted. The binge link will allow you to go through in order all of my videos. It's a really, really big help. And my staff did it. You know, this is what they're doing when people are saying, oh, your staff should do this on the website. Your staff should do that. We have this suggestion. Hey, you know, they're doing other work to help you. Culver barware, popular. Wow, popular. Are there more desirable designs to look for? Yes, the starburst designs are very desirable. The playing card designs, you know, the king, the queen, the jack, those designs. What other ones are very desirable? Usually flowers, but oftentimes you're going to see more of those starburst kinds of designs on the Culver barware. Good for you. That's great. They're usually in gold, sometimes in silver. Very mid-century modern fun. Terrific pieces. Tell me about that picture behind you. The surface in the foreground is realistic. It looks transparent like glass. American artist Frank Lind. He was a longtime teacher at the Pratt Institute, the largest art school in the nation. This is called Surfer. I think he's one of the best artists in the United States. And as American artist of the 20th and 21st century, he's one of the best, if not the best. I like him a lot. So I'm showing you quality. I always show you quality. And I hope you're learning a lot. I hope you'll remember to sign up for my classes. They're available on my website. And I hope you learned a lot tonight. Thanks so much for sharing your questions and spending some time with me. I'm Dr. Lori. I'm here helping you. I'll see you next time.